I give up. When I got up this morning, there was no way in the world I thought I'd be spending so much time in front of a camera today. I've already put up over an hour's worth of videos today, and now there's yet another thing that we need to know about. How'd that headline strike you? This is the effects of a potato running a country. I told you this morning about Saudi Arabia and the oil and the whole what Biden was trying to pull. Now we find out that Saudi Arabia wants to join, or not wants to, but will join the BRICS nations. Okay, now BRICS has been around for 12 years, something like that. Here's where the problem comes in, guys. This will collapse the U.S. economy and the U.S. dollar. Not might, will. Y'all know what the petrodollar is, okay? And I'm going to give you a little bit of history on it. With the deal that the United States has with Saudi Arabia and the rest of OPEC nations, all oil is sold in dollars, which means that any country in the world, Colombia wants to buy oil from Venezuela. They don't do it in Colombian pesos or whatever it is. They do it in US dollars. If Kazakhstan wants to buy oil from Russia, two former Soviet republics, they do it in US dollars, which means that every country in the world that wants to buy oil has to keep a stockpile of US dollars in their equivalent to the Federal Reserve. Okay, this is how you buy oil. If Saudi Arabia, or when Saudi Arabia tips over to the BRICS nations, and we all know that China wants the yuan to be the world reserve currency, this is exactly what happens. Now, instead of all those countries having to buy dollars and keep dollars in their, again, equivalent to the Federal Reserve, now they have to keep Chinese yuan. That means that there's going to be a flood of dollars to the market, which means the valuation of the US dollar is going to drop significantly. And I mean, I'm not talking 2%, 5%, I'm talking 50%. The petrodollar is what supports the US economy. Without it, the US economy collapses. You want to talk about why we hear all this stuff about going to CBDC and all this sort of stuff? Because then they can expire those dollars from Colombia, from Kazakhstan, whatever it would be, okay? Spend them now or lose them. Same thing we've all heard, just on a much, much greater scale. You can bet that the rest of the countries in OPEC will quickly follow Saudi Arabia's lead, okay? Saudi Arabia is already in talks with China to price its some of its oil sales in yuan, okay? That would put a huge dent in the dollar, US dollar dominance, okay? It's going to boost the Chinese economy. It's going to crush the US economy. What happens now? The US, the people here, we are addicted to Chinese-made crap. And now the Chinese economy is going to be what dictates the US economy. China then goes to the United States and goes, yeah, you know what? We're not going to send you that stuff that you want to fill your Walmarts, your Home Depots, your JCPenney's, wherever, your Amazon, unless you do this. Joe Biden has effectively sold out the United States to China. There is absolutely no question. Now, we know all the stories about Hunter's business dealings in China, et cetera, et cetera. This is beyond what can be fixed in an election, okay? When the South African president comes out and says this happened, now, not that South Africa's any shining city on a hill, to use that term, okay? This is his quote, all right? The Crown Prince, Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, did express Saudi Arabia's desire to be part of BRICS, and they are not the only country. Rest of OPEC, okay? A number of countries are making approaches to BRICS members, and we have given them the same answer, that it will be discussed by the BRICS partners, and thereafter a decision will be made. Yeah. Something like 2/3 to 3/4 of the countries in the world have asked to be part of BRICS. Now, if you don't know what BRICS basically is, it's the Chinese take control of the country. Told you many times, the Chinese aren't going to take over the world through war. They're going to take over the world economically. What China does with all these, this is kind of like the Belt and Road Initiative, all right? They loan countries money that the countries have no way to ever pay back. And so China forecloses on the country. Yeah, all right. Now, let's add the World Economic Forum, let's add globalism all to this. This is exactly what is in store for us. That you're going to have a one world communist country, that the Joe Bidens, the Emmanuel Macrons, the Justin Trudeaus, the Olaf Scholzes of the world all want. They all want communism. Worldwide, one world communism. I may get my wish before I die. I've said many times I'm an isolationist, okay? Screw the rest of the world. I don't care, okay? None of them. 194 other countries. I don't care what happens there. I care what happens in this country. The only way this country ever survives is if we tell the rest of the world to go F themselves. The problem is now you have the rest of the world against us. We are still the only self-sufficient nation in the world. They need the United States. We, you and me, and what dare I say, the rest of the MAGA patriots out there are the last stand the world has. The elections come up in about 3 weeks from today. The only possibility that will ever save this world is to get rid of every Democrat. It's probably not going to, it's guaranteed not going to happen that they're going to take over a supermajority in the Senate. This president, every Democrat needs to be thrown out. Every communist, every socialist needs to be removed from this country. This is it, guys. If this happens, if we lose the world reserve currency, the U.S., as we know it, is done. Pinball out.